Hey everyone, welcome back for another video. For this one, I'm about to head out right now to the TCL Chinese Theater in Hollywood because they're having a 20th anniversary, damn I feel old, 20th anniversary Deep Blue Sea screening with Thomas Jane, aka The Punisher. But yeah, we're not watching that movie, so he's going to be punishing some sharks this time around. So I can't freaking wait for the Q&A, see what cool stories he has to share about the film. And yeah, I better go hurry up because there's probably going to be traffic. So, see you guys later.
Discovered a whole subculture, LA underground horror scream fest people. This is really neat. It was really neat to sit in the back and watch. I came in right as Sam Jackson got eaten by the shark. It was funny. I came in at the perfect moment. And I'll never forget. The studio. Didn't really, the movie had tested well, but not that well. So they didn't put a lot of advertising into it because, I don't know, they do this thing on a sliding scale or something. But, we were just starting to promote the movie, and we took it to New York, and we showed it at one of those huge New York theaters with 1,500 people in there or something. And when Sam Jackson got eaten by that shark, you could not hear the movie for the next 5 minutes. I'm not kidding. It was at least 4 minutes, maybe longer, where you just couldn't hear the fucking film. People lost their minds. And Sam Jackson was probably at the peak of his fame at that time, and that was an amazing moment. And that's when the studio realized, oh my God, we've got a magic gold mine on our hands here. And so they tried to up the advertising, but it was a little too late. We came in number 2, and who was number 1?
Runaway Bride. I looked it up earlier. Runaway Bride, which nobody is showing tonight.
And the Blair Witch Project.
The Blair Witch, yeah.
Blair Witch had just come out, I don't know, a week or two
yeah, it was
before.
The first week it was wide because it showed just in the
right, and they kicked our ass. The Blair Witch Project kicked our ass, and all the studios were in fear because that had no effort. It was the first internet sensation, when we realized that you could have a hit movie just based on the internet word of mouth, and that was the Blair Witch Project, which changed the whole industry. That was the sea change. So literally, Deep Blue Sea was the last studio movie before the tide started shifting into this kind of new world of the internet and indie filmmaking and stuff like that. It was a really interesting time. Not only that, but so I was pissed. And the Blair Witch Project was shot literally in my backyard. It's literally where I grew up, in the woods of Maryland. So that, I was like, oh, God, oh. What a ride. It was really something else. I had done a couple of movies. It was my first real starring role. I think I starred in one other film, a little indie film, but I had no idea what I was doing. And now, I am just terrified. I don't know how you can tell, but when they point that camera at me, I'm just like, oh my God, what the fuck do I do? I was really just a newbie, at that kind of thing, like carrying a picture, and of course all the lines are like, there's this steel is titanium, so it's like a whole lot to work with, but man, it was really neat to see it. You want to ask me a question or something? I'm sorry, I'm just gonna give you target.
Just how did you get cast in this movie? Did Rennie see you in one of those other movies and ask for you? Did you have to audition?
I had done Boogie Nights, I had done one other little movie, and I'd done Boogie Nights, and I'd done little day player stuff. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I did a day on that. I think I had already done a few days on The Crow City of Angels. So I was doing these little parts and sort of getting used to the whole being in front of the camera, acting, all that stuff. And Boogie Nights came out, and that's when people started wanting to meet me. And Rennie Harlan was the first. This movie came on right away, and Rennie brought me in, and the studio wanted to hire me. I'm living in a little tiny shack out under the 2 freeway. There's this old Catholic nun retreat that they built in like the 20s, and there's these little cottages, and they're tucked down there, sort of beyond Echo Park. And I was living out there. I mean, I had no money, and when they offered me lead in the movie, I was like, oh my God, it's a shark movie, and I wanted to, I love acting. I did a lot of theater. I did all that. So I was like, I don't know, but it was an opportunity that I couldn't turn down, and it gave me a career. So I'm very grateful for how that happened. It just happened in that way where they're willing to take a chance on a young kid, because the movie's really all about fucking sharks. So nobody really gives a shit who's starring in it. But Sam Jackson will eat him, and only have to pay him half because he's gone.
Well, I mean, that's one of the cool things about the movie. Besides Sam, is that all you actors were kind of like on the same level at that time. So there wasn't a sort of like, he's obviously gonna live, he's obviously gonna die. You know what I mean? Like, it was always a good, and including Sam, it was always a good surprise who would live and who would die. And I think that's part of it, what makes it so fun.
Everybody wanted to die first. We're like, bro, get me the fuck out of this water. This fucking water.
That was my next question. Talk about, you shot that in the same tank that they shot Titanic in, that big.
That's right.
Mexico?
Yeah, down to Mexico, Rosarito.
Talk about, how much of that set was actually built, or did they kind of
everything that you saw above water was built out on the water in the giant tank, and then we added the ocean around it. And everything, the sets were all right there. They had some stages right there next to the giant water tanks. And we built it all there, and we filmed the whole damn thing there. I think pretty much all of it. There might be a couple of CG shots, and they enhanced some stuff and made it go down and make it look like it was, a lot deeper and a lot bigger. But all those interiors, I got to tell you, the set design on this movie is really something. I thought those guys did a fantastic job. That stuff's not easy to do. It can look really cornball, as we all know. And I thought they did a really nice job, making that set feel real.
How did the underwater scenes actually work for you as an actor? Do you have a stunt double nearby with not a stunt double, but somebody with a tank?
They had guys to wake me up when I passed out from being under there too long. And they didn't really. I mean, it was tough. It was brutal. Oh my God, the underwater stuff, and just wet every single day. You got dry for an hour at lunch. You got to go to your little room and strip off your wetsuit and towel off, and then you had about an hour, maybe an hour and a half if they're slow in the lighting, and where you got to be dry. And the rest of the time you were just soaking wet all day. I got a rash on my face that from these tanks. It's the biggest water tank in the world, so of course, they said, of course we filter it, but the filters, they don't make filters big enough for that tank, so the filters were kind of crappy. I got this weird little thing on my face. And even today, I have to put hydrocortisone on or something. It's my little deep blue sea reminder. It's so funny. Literally, I mean, just the other day, I looked in the mirror and oh yeah, there it is. And I get the stuff and I put it on there. It was wet and dirty and a lot of fucking work. I would never want to do that again today, unless it was just a really good script. You put yourself through that. I mean, it really is kind of amazing that we all got through it.
And that part where you guys were taking Stella Skarsgård out. I understand that was a legit mistake. The water hit you and it wasn't supposed to, or something.
That is correct. Yeah, I came in after that part. I wish I would have seen that part too. I remember that with the helicopters and the.
Yeah, you were taking them out. You hooked up the thing, and kind of wave, kind of.
Yeah. That was all, whoops, got that? You got that? Rennie Harlan. It was 13 cameras. He had 13 cameras going all the time. So forget about, hey, Rennie, like, what lens are you close? Are you far? He said, all of it. He's, I've got it all.
Did you, I know they had a couple of real sharks for certain shots. Did you ever actually get to work with any of the real ones at all?
I did. We used real sharks at the very end of the shoot, of course, when everyone got everything in the can. They flew us down to the Bahamas or someplace, and we had real sharks down there, and we went and filmed a bunch of B-roll with me in the water with the sharks. One of the camera grips got bit because he was paying out cable, and as you pay out cable, his arm was flashing. The flashing white of his arm attracted a shark and bit him. But the shark wasn't that big, so he kept his arm. It was my favorite sharks was the robot shark. And you can see he's in the end. He's in little pieces throughout. Whenever they strap somebody into the shark, that's the robot shark. Me riding the shark at the end, that's all the robot. That robot shark was fucking cool. They did such a great job with that. And I remember when it came out, I was really kind of disappointed that they used a lot of that CG stuff, because I just thought that the robot shark was so badass, and if there was a way to make it all work with that guy. He almost drowned me, the robot shark, because they built this thing. I don't know how many millions of dollars it cost, but they built this robot shark, and they had the big tank, and they had the guy with a big cable and a joystick, and he's there, and he's working the shark. He's got a few joysticks instead of his control panel, but nobody had ever worked with this robot shark before. It was the first time that he'd been in the water, so of course they strapped me to the fucking thing, and they got to literally strap me to it, right? They could wrap me around to this thing, and they're going to take me underwater, and they got cameras, and they're going to film me going up and around and down, and of course they lost control of this robot shark almost immediately. They're like, okay, you're rolling. The shark goes just dive straight for the bottom with me strapped to the fucking thing. And you can tell, I heard later that everybody's going, get it up, up. And the guy's like, finally, I'm down there, I'm like, oh man, I bet you they fucking don't know how to work this thing. And they strapped a little air, a little canister, right, with a thing, a little air canister. And I'm like, I wonder if I'm going to have to pull out this fucking air canister. And I'm going to be mad at somebody if I do. And sure enough, I go to reach to pull out the air canister, and the shark goes, and it starts going up. But they were frightened that I was down there too long, so whatever they did, they pulled all the way back on the joystick. And this shark literally came with all guns blazing, came out of the water, and I wish somebody had filmed this, out of the water, like that, and landed on the side of the pool with me on it. And that I will not forget.
13 cameras, they didn't get that?
Yeah, but not outside. They didn't have a fucking camera up here.
Maybe you can dispel the rumor now, whether or not sometimes the internet lies to me. Originally, Saffron Burrows' character lived, according to the internet. Is that true? And if so, do you remember shooting anything about that?
I do. That was 100% true. Saffron Burrows lived. We tested the movie. Everybody did not like the scientist that she played. And they loved LL, and they loved me. And so we went back to the water, and we reshot the ending that you see. I mean, come on, I'll never forget when, that scene when she has to pull off her wetsuit and stand on it. That was not in the original script. That's the kind of stuff they do when you're a young actor. They just give you a script, and then the producer comes in and goes, "I gotta great idea. That scene, we're not going to shoot that. What we're going to do is you get you naked in the room with, and I remember that was a big, she did not want to do that. But she did. And it was a great little nod to Alien, right? With the white panties and the white bra. It was kind of cool.
They killed the sharks based on the Jaws films.
Right.
The 3 sharks that they killed, each the
Fun.
same way that they killed the first 3 Jaws
Fun. Which was we could not say the J word during press.
Oh,
Yeah, the studio put out a memo, or where it was like, we do not say the J word, and we do not mention the SS director that did the J word. We do not know, and they just didn't want any. They didn't want any comparison or any sort of overt,
You have the license plate. You got your little tip of the hat. Yeah. Well, for those who don't follow box office, until the Meg, you guys were the highest grossing non-Jaws, Jaws 2 shark movie.
Yeah, that's cool.
So that's
Yeah.
nice. That's a nice.
Yeah, it's such a
And it's
goofball
well played.
movie,
I mean,
but it's
you're
still
really-
it's still
you guys
fun.
are- You're still here.
You
You're
guys
getting
had
your time.
fun. Thank you.
It really, I noticed tonight, I never really picked up on before, it's kind of the shark version of Poseidon Adventure. It's really just like,
Totally. No, it's Gene
one
Hackman.
end to
Yeah,
another, you're
right.
Gene Hackman.
But in that movie, there was so much character and so many. You know what I mean? Like the characters were very well drawn. I actually got to do some work after that.
Do you have any questions for you guys for Tom? Right here.
Yeah, like what you, I mean, it's his first starring role, right?
Yeah.
So you're gonna take it, right, for that?
And when you're living in, when I'm driving a 1962 Ford Falcon that breaks down every other week, yeah, I'm gonna take it.
You know, anything, I mean, a scoop dive or a swim or anything, 'cause, I've always heard like, the last thing you wanna do as an actor is make a movie on water.
That's right. Nobody had told me that in 1998 or 99 or whenever the hell we shot it. But yes, I've learned that since.
Have you done another one?
100% no, I have not. No, I will not. No, thank you. In fact, I just turned down a water movie that wanted me to do a movie about a tsunami. I was like, no.
You could be like the girl that dies first. You could be the control.
Yeah. I'm going to be the helicopter pilot. And I'll fly over.
Were you a scuba diver / swimmer, like you like new water?
Right.
So you weren't like scared?
That was one of the great gifts of this film, is that I went down there, we're rehearsing, there's tons of shit to do. And one of the things that we did was I got certified, in that pool where we shot, as a scuba diver. And that I have been able to take with me to everywhere I go in the world. And I've been able to go on dives, and shipwrecks, and World War II planes, and some incredible diving. And that was a world that was opened up to me thanks to this movie, and it literally is another world. I mean, it's the closest we will ever get to traveling to another planet, and it is absolutely fantastic and one of the great gifts of my life. So, I'm very grateful.
Yeah.
First off, this is way better than the Meg, so thank you.
Yeah.
What was harder for you physically, this or the Punisher?
Oh, physically, the Punisher. That was also more rewarding. I mean, it was just a hell of a lot more training. The guys that I would work with, the Navy SEALs and the weapons experts and all those fantastic guys were just so. It was every day, all day, for months, and it was very hard work, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. Except for working out twice a day. My trainer decided in the last couple of weeks that we were going to work out twice a day. That got old. But fortunately, we started shooting and went back to once a day. But this was hard physically. This was a tough shoot. The shoot was tougher. Deep Blue Sea, the actual filming was much harder. Probably the hardest movie I've ever done, except for that one I did, the other Stephen King movie I did when we shot up in the 800 miles from the Arctic Circle.
Dreamcatcher.
My God. I mean, talking about like literally 40 below. out there. I mean, this is back. This is when we shot on film, and there's a temperature where film starts to crumble in the camera. It can't. You know, it's so cold that the film just crumbles and you can't wind it. And that's how cold it was on Dreamcatcher. You know, we couldn't film a few times because the film was crumbling in the fucking camera. Oh, the actors are fine. Yeah, just put us in front of that. Sure, we'll say our fucking lines.
I remember watching the behind the scenes on that, and you just seemed like totally in your element. I think you had a short sleeve shirt or something. You were like very relaxed, but I could tell everybody around you was freezing. You were just, like, telling the story, you're like, yeah, my mom's a big fan.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
frozen.
I was probably doing that on purpose just to fuck with you, know, just to fuck with everybody.
Well, I figured this probably gave you some training. What do they keep the temperature at? Is it warm or is it cold?
It's not too bad, and that, you know.
When it's that big, I don't
yeah,
know.
they can't really keep it. They did try, and it wasn't as freezing as the ocean, but it was cold. I mean, you know, there's a couple of scenes where I'm going underneath and then coming up for air, and I have that scene with Skaggs, and I'm talking like that a little bit, and that's all real. I mean, the longer you stay in the water, you know, your body temperature just starts to drain out. So, you know, cold, wet, miserable, you name it. It was all there. We got all the whole pie.
A couple more, anyone else?
Yeah.
You have a favorite villain you went up against, like a shark or the mist or?
That's funny. Like my hand at school. I don't know. The Predator was pretty cool. I gotta tell you. You know, just as far as kicks, like when I was 13, me and my buddies went to see the Predator, and we just fucking loved it like everybody else. And it was all, you know. So to be able to do the movie, and you know, they got the guys, and they the full gear, and they got the 7 foot tall skinny guys. They could fit in all that gear. And they just look so fucking badass. I mean, it was phenomenal. I mean, you didn't have to do any fancy lighting with those Predators. They were badass. Of course, they were also always passing out. Literally. There's, in fact, a couple of, I hope maybe it'll make it into the behind the scenes, probably not. But there's a scene where literally they do a shot where they're looking at me, and then they pan over to the Predator who's on the ship, and he literally goes like this. and passes. I mean, it felt terrible for the guys, because it not only was it hot as hell and they were passing out, but it was also incredibly claustrophobic, all that, and you couldn't hear anything. And you know, I'm sure you guys, I'm just preaching to the choir here. You guys probably all know all the stories, but those monsters, it sucks being a monster.
What is the least grueling movie you've made?
Oh, that's a good question.
The Predator was too hot. Dreamcatcher was too cold. This is too wet. The Punisher's too many times at the gym.
Does it sound like I'm complaining? Am I complaining? I never get to complain. It's all great. It's fucking great. Oh, I love it. I love being a movie star. Oh, you know, we hang out. I mean, you know, pretty girls and all that. Blah blah blah. You know. No, all we do with each other when we get together is just bitch about everything. Just, you know, you got to balance out the scales. You know, it is fun, and there is a lot, and it's rewarding, and it is what I love to do, and I feel very fortunate. But you know, you gotta beat yourself up a little bit, you know, and you gotta bitch about stuff. You know, it's like fuck, man. You know, it's you know, some of that shit is, you know, hard work.
But for real,
it's like working almost. You know.
Looking back, what would you say was like the most of all the movies you made, or TV work? What was like the most fun to go to every day? Like you never really felt.
Well, the movie that comes immediately to mind is 61, where I played Mickey Mantle. And that again was a lot of fucking work, and but I'm not gonna bitch about that. But I got to train with Reggie Smith, who is one of the great. He was number 2 switch hitter behind Mantle for years, and one of the great baseball trainers. And he has a camp out in the valley, and we went there every day. And I didn't know anything about baseball. I played football as a kid, and never played baseball. And he said to me, "Well, at least you don't have any bad habits." and he was able to sculpt, what a lot of people say was a pretty damn good impression of Mickey's swing and Mickey Mantle. Except for the run, he had this little bit of a jog because he busted his kneecap on a Willie Mays pop fly early in his career, and so he always had this tiny bit of a limp. And I worked on that and worked on that and worked on that, and never quite got that. But the swing and just the move and how Mickey moved and all that stuff, I'm very proud of it. And going to work every day, where you literally film a movie and play baseball all day, is probably the best job that I've ever had and probably ever will have.
One more. Yeah.
What type of acting do you study?
Oh, that's a good question. I studied. I was really interested in when I was a kid. I discovered the method, Lee Strasberg, and his wonderful actors studio stuff. Where Brando and Paul Newman and Montgomery Clift and Jimmy Dean, those guys were my heroes, and they inspired me to learn sort of and study that for quite a while. And then I started taking different classes and working with different people, and then just sort of building my own sort of toolkit, and it didn't come. It took me a while to loosen up, on camera, as you can tell. I mean, for me, I look at it, I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Nothing. But it was experiences like that where I would say, okay, well, I got to fix this. I got to figure this shit out because I know I can do it, and I did to a degree that I'm, over the past few years, recently, have become comfortable with, where I feel like I can finally act a little bit. It's an endless road, There's never an end to how detailed or how what you can do with your body and your instrument, your voice, and it's a very fun challenge. It's a fun road.
Thank you.
And thank you guys. Really, it was so cool to come in and see you guys.
As you guys can see, I recorded most of the Q&A with Thomas Jane after the screening of Deep Blue Sea, which, just for anybody that couldn't make the event or just curious about any behind-the-scenes stuff about the film. So there you guys go. And he did stay and signed for fans. He signed like all kinds of stuff and took photos with everybody. He's really nice. So yeah, now I'm going to show you guys the stuff I got signed. First up for the autographs, here is my favorite Tom Jane film, obviously, The Punisher, the 2004 version. And yeah, I still remember watching this one at the theater. Pretty freaking fun movie. A lot of people have different opinions on it, but I pretty much love all the Punisher films except for Warzone. That one wasn't really. I love the violence in it, obviously, but yeah, like the villains sucked in my opinion. They weren't that great, and but this one, just I don't know what it is. Just like the style and yeah, I guess. And not to mention, I am a wrestling fan, and there's Kevin Nash, Big Daddy Cool Diesel right there, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, fun film, and I had him sign it right there. You guys can see it. The pen was kind of running out of ink, but you can still see the signature pretty good. So yeah, pretty happy with this. And for my next signature, this one I'm really happy about because I've met Tom Jane at least twice. He used to do Long Beach Comic Con. I think he did 2 or 3 of them 3 years consecutively. So yeah, I got him to sign a bunch of Punisher stuff, like the video game and a bunch of the full-size posters and stuff. But I just realized I never had him sign an 8x10. which that was my plan. Originally, I wanted an 8x10 signed by all the Punisher actors. So I recently got John Bernthal at Jimmy Kimmel Live. Got him to sign one, and I had years ago, around 2000 or 2011, way before I started doing YouTube, I got Dolph Lundgren to sign a Punisher 8x10 from his movie. So yeah, now I got 3. I just need Ray Stevenson. So yeah, 3 down, 1 to go. So pretty happy about this one. Next up, decided to also get this 8x10 signed, because as much as I love the classic trench coat look, I also loved his look, this look for him in the film. He gets the vest and he paints on the skull. So yeah, I had to get something different. 2 different 8x10s plus the DVD. So yeah, there you guys have it. Alright guys, last but not least, the reason for the screening, 20th anniversary of Deep Blue Sea, and I brought my DVD for Tom Jane to sign. In my opinion, this is the closest anyone's ever come to Jaws. I wouldn't even dare say, it's like this generation's Jaws almost, because nothing's ever come close to it. Jaws is a classic, obviously, but I saw the Meg recently, and I was hoping for that to be so good, but that kind of disappointed me a little bit. But this one never fails to disappoint. I could watch this one over and over again repeatedly and just not get tired of it. It's one of my favorite shark movies ever, right up there with Jaws. And it's funny because Tom Jane shared the whole story of apparently when they were doing press for this movie, they were not allowed to say, to mention, as he called it, the J word, Jaws or Steven Spielberg, just to try to not draw any comparisons. But yeah, this one stands on its own. Great freaking film. I had a blast at this event checking it out, for the first time on the big screen after 20 years. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. Okay, and that's going to wrap up this video, guys. I decided to treat myself to a screening and a few autographs. So yeah, turned out to be a pretty good week. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and the Q&A. Hope it was insightful if you didn't already know that stuff about the films. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. As always, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys for the next video.